أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه. As we approach the last nights of Shahr Ramadan, it's important to look to what we've gained, look to what we've accomplished during the previous nights, and strive our utmost to maintain it. I know I've said it before, but it's something that sometimes we need to repeat time and time again to ourselves to convince ourselves of the importance of it. That the opportunities are limited, and that what we have in front of us, the opportunities will go away. And just as Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says that, take advantage of opportunities, for certainly opportunities they go past like the passing of clouds. Tomorrow, sahab. They go past us. We won't be able to control them. We don't know when the next one will be there. And so for sure we should take advantage of this opportunity as it is right here before us. I think this is perhaps the last of these tafsir sessions that I have. Wanted to end in maybe two, if we get the opportunity, to two different groups of verses that talk about the same idea of the relationship between this world and the next. The first I want to talk about is within Surah Rum. It's from verse number 6 to a couple of verses down. It starts off by saying, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وعد الله لا يخلف الله وحده ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. This is a promise of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not go against, He does not do khilaf of His promise, His oath. However, most people do not know. And then it explains in the next verse regarding the people who don't know. This people that don't know, it gives another descriptor of them. It says, يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. These people are the ones who know the apparent of this worldly life, but they are oblivious. They don't know anything regarding the next life. They're heedless of it. And it's something very interesting that happened here. If you look at the end of this first verse, verse number 6, it says, أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Most people do not know. To describe them in the next verse, it says, يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. These people who do not know, their descriptor is that they do know something. But what they know is the apparent and surface level of this worldly life. And they're unaware of the hereafter. Which means what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying is that the people who are unaware of the hereafter are equivalent to the people who don't know. Even if they know something of this world, the surface level of this worldly life, it's equivalent to knowing nothing. Because you don't know. And it's the same thing if we take it into, a way that maybe we'll understand. Suppose I have, this phone in my hand. I know what this phone is. It's used, it has various usages, the apps, I can call people, I can message people. I know what it's used for. But if I hand this to, an infant that doesn't know, anything about phones, obviously, then the most probably usage of it will be using it like as a chew toy, right? To chew on it, or to throw it, or something of that nature. And so yes, they have some level of knowledge of what they're doing, obviously, because everyone does things based on knowledge, and so they use this as a toy. But they've basically boiled down this very sophisticated piece of technology to something to chew on. And you would basically say that they're completely ignorant of what it is. Even though, obviously, they know something, otherwise they wouldn't be able to chew it in the first place. It's the same thing with us. If I am known this world, just on the surface level of it, just on the material basis of it, then that's equivalent to me being the child that's been granted, given this, very sophisticated thing in front of me, this opportunity. And since I don't know any better, I basically just destroy it. I don't know anything about it. I waste that opportunity. I waste what's in front of me. And that's equivalent to not knowing. Now, in terms of the Arabic linguistics and grammar, there's interesting points within this verse as well. In this second verse, verse 7, where it says that Hum anil akhirati hum ghafilun. There's a repetition of that dhamir, that pronoun of hum that comes within this verse. And this is one of the usages of where you can see that this extra emphasis comes. One of the beautiful things within the Arabic language, specifically the Quranic Arabic language, it's not common in Arabic language outside of the Quran, but within the Quran, is how many varied and different ways there are to indicate emphasis of something. Whether it's the haruf that are used, whether it's the endings of verbs, whether it's a jumla ismiya versus fi'liya, well, the various things we can go on, whether it's in a fi'l or ism fa'il or sifat mushabbah or whatever, the various grammatical structures that are there within Arabic. There's so many varied ways that emphasis can be shown, and each one has their own sort of eloquent way of usage and place for it. In this particular place, it's an emphasis of this khabar that's coming, this thing that's being attributed to these people, that they are ghafil, that these are the people who are ghafil, these are the people who are for sure in the state of ghaflat. And this is something that we're saying, that if we want to see people who are heedless, who are not aware, who don't know what the right thing truly is, it's the people who are not aware of the hereafter. They're not looking towards the hereafter for their success. Now, the next verse gives a solution. Right? It says that these people, you want to have, okay, we've recognized that there's a problem. They don't know, they're not paying attention to the next life. Then what is the solution for them? What should they be doing? Why is it that they've come to this state, that they're not paying attention to the hereafter? It says, أَوَلَمْ يَتَفَكَّرُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ وَأَجْلٍ مُسَمَّى. It says, do they not think, do they not ponder within themselves regarding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not created the heavens and the earth and that which is between them except with haqq, except with truth, and for a specific time. أَجْلٍ مُسَمَّى. It's not going to last forever. There's a specific timeline for this. And then it says, in response to this, that they haven't thought of this, وَإِنَّ كَثِيرًا مِّنَ النَّاسِ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّهِمْ لَكَافِرُونَ. And certainly, many, if not most of the people are disbelieving, are disbelievers of the meeting with their Lord. And again, the emphasis here is a lot. There's the inna, there's the kathir, there's a lam that comes in front of the kafirun. There's kafirun, not yakfurun. A lot of things of emphasis. Again, I'm just very slightly going over them just to pique interest, inshallah, regarding the topic. But the emphasis is very, very heavy in the statement. That certainly, a lot of people are kuffar regarding the meeting of their Lord. And if we were to wake up to this, the way to wake up is to ponder and think that this world that we're in, this creation of everything, has a purpose. It wasn't something done in vain. It's made with haqq, with truth, with reality. There's something to be gained. There's something that's meant to be attained within the context of this world. And if I'm not going towards that, then I'm living a life of a kafir. I'm living a life of a disbeliever, regardless of what label I put on myself. I can be a kafir even with the label of a Muslim. It doesn't matter what I call myself. What matters is what I'm actually doing in reality. If I don't live my life like a Muslim, then calling myself a Muslim doesn't give me any extra points. It doesn't mean anything. I have to live like that. I have to live my life in accordance with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. And this is what the people have not done. And this is the final warning. This next verse comes a final warning for the people that, look, you want to wake up, you want to sort of understand that whatever you do, whatever you build in this world, no matter how powerful, no matter your wealth, no matter what your status is in this world, it does not matter. It's going to reach a deadline. This next verse comes. This verse number 9. It says, أَوَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَيَنْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. It says, do they not travel within the earth, travel throughout the earth, and see what was the end of the people who came before them? It says, كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنْهُمْ قُوَّةً وَأَثَارُوا الْأَرْضِ وَعَمَرُوهَا أَكْثَرَ مِمَّا عَمَرُوهَا. It says that these people that came before them were stronger than them. They're stronger. They had more ability. They did more things within they live in the earth. They did things within this earth. They made structures and devices and societies and civilizations that were more than what you've done. They did greater things. وَجَاءَتْهُمْ رُسُلُهُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. These people, the Rasul, the messengers came to them. But all of these things, they went away. It says, look, if you were to go throughout the earth and see, you would see that these people who had all of these things, there's nothing left of them. There's no remark of them. It says that, in fact, one of the things, the stark things of emphasis in this verse is that it doesn't even tell what the end of these people were. Right? Sometimes the places where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say something is even more striking. He doesn't even say that, look, I destroyed all of them, or they're all gone. He doesn't even mention their end, because you don't need to mention it, they're gone. If you were to go and travel and see historically what has happened to these people, they're gone. They don't exist. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't even have to tell you that. You look and travel within the earth and you'll find out yourself. All of these civilizations, all of these powers, the superpowers, one after another, well, they're gone now. They've been relegated to history. They no longer remain. And so if that's the case, then why should I think that what I'm doing in my life, with my wealth, my power, whatever it is that I've gained, will be permanent? Why do I think to myself as if this is something that I can secure myself with? Also is saying that, look, it's not the case. That's not the case. And as a final thing, do we think that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing, maybe He's taking things away from you? He's like, no, that's not what happened. فَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيَظْلِمَهُمْ وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. Says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not the one who's doing dhulm to them. He's not the one who's oppressing you. Rather, these people are oppressing themselves. How? Because they're not orienting their lives in the right direction. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guaranteed all that we could imagine in terms of reward, in terms of the positive consequences of what we want. But it takes for me is to orient my life in that direction. If I refuse to do so and turn my back from reality and engross myself within the material world before me, then I won't attain it much at all. I cannot expect to see that benefit here and now. The reality of our religion, what we're attaining for, what we're striving for, is in the next world, not in this world. And so if I'm doing my duty and responsibility towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't expect to see ease within this world. I don't expect to see the fruits of my labor here. I expect to see it there. And so that becomes the way I gauge myself. I shouldn't think to myself that if I have more wealth or more children or this or that, that means that I'm living the promised life. No, each one of those things is a new test for me. It's a new thing that I see whether I'm doing my obligation or not. In fact, in many ways, the test of the aghniya, of the wealthy, is more difficult in this world than the test of the poor. Because it's something about poverty that you're always in a state of reaching out. You have a need. You understand that you're needy. And so you'll reach out. And inshallah you can reach out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's something almost subtle and seductive of the state of richness and wealth that you think to ourselves that I don't need anybody. I have whatever I need. I'm living a comfortable life. Why do I need to reach out? Inshallah we don't say it overtly. Inshallah we don't reach that state. But somehow in the back of our mind this comes. And that's something that we should be very wary of. We should understand that this is a very harsh test that we're in. And not think that wealth is just a barakah and blessing and that's it. No. Every barakah and blessing is also a test. This is something that we can see, in fact, in the story of Hazrat Sulaiman, when the whole event happened of the bringing of the throne of Bilqis in one blink of an eye, less than the closing of the eyelid. Right? He says, هَذَا مِن فَضْلِ رَبِّي. Right? This is out of the grace of my Lord. But there's a purpose behind it, to test whether I'm thankful or whether I disbelieve. The fadl and the ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are not just there for free. They're not there for without a purpose and reason. Their placement in our lives is a new test for us, to see whether we're thankful or whether we'll do kufr. And so the grading of success within this life is not based on my bank account. It's not based on my family situation. It's not based on these material trappings within this world. It's based on whether I'm doing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to do with those things or not. And so I could be the most poor, I could be the most rich. That has no bearing on my success within this world. What means in terms of success is whether I've done what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks me. Now, seeing that, sometimes when we look at what we have in our dua and what we have, with what we say, we realize that a lot of times we ask constantly for many things that are material in nature within our dua. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to do. Right? He's commanded us to ask Him for health, for wealth, for ease, for comfort, all of these things. We shouldn't be asking for difficulty. We shouldn't be asking for poverty. We shouldn't be asking for sickness. And every time that we're faced with difficulties or trials, we should be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a way out, for relief. That's the obvious thing to do. In fact, it's regardless on whether we ask it or not, we're automatically going to be striving towards it. I'm going to take medicine when I'm sick. That action that I'm doing, the only thing that I'm truly adding by doing dua is that I'm recognizing who the source of the health is from. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's granting the health, not this medicine. This medicine isn't doing it. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing it through the medicine. Right? And that's something that's important, that we recognize that at all states, whatever we wish, whatever we want, we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, one of the du'as that we have that is usually and commonly recited in qunut is the dua that we say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. We ask our Lord to give us good in this world and good in the next world, and to protect us and save us from the punishment of the hellfire. And at first glance, it might seem to say that maybe this is contrary to this idea that we've been talking about, that concentrating on worldly things and good things in this world, and that's a distraction of the hereafter. But if we pay attention, the wording is different in this verse. It doesn't say hasana fi hayat ad-dunya. It says hasana fi dunya. Right? We want good in this world. Right? Not in a worldly life. What makes something good in this world is not necessarily something that I think of in terms of wealth or comfort. Goodness in this world is defined by its utility in bringing me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas goodness in the hereafter is the actualization of that nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the goodness, the hasanat within this world are tools. They're utilities, the things that means by which I can attain closeness. Goodness in the hereafter is that absolute closeness itself. And so when we look at it from this perspective, we realize that this goodness that's being asked for is something that's much more than wealth and health and all these things. Yes, we do ask for those things, but those things we ask for in a context. The context that these things will help me achieve my purpose in this life. Not that they're inherently good. Not that they're good just because I want them, but rather they're good because they help me achieve my purpose. And if they were not to achieve my purpose, if, for example, there was a state where health would be something detrimental to me, that if I were to be in a state of health, I would become arrogant and turn my back away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or if I were to be in a state of wealth, I would become arrogant and I wouldn't give it in charity. I would be self-centered with my wealth. If that's the state that I would be with my possession of wealth, with my state of health, then that becomes a curse. It becomes a niqmah and not a ni'mah. It becomes something that would be a chain held against me. And so it's not something that's hasan anymore. It's not something good anymore. Rather, it's qabih, it's ugly, it's something that's bad. And so when we look at this dua, we should be a bit more mindful in looking at the dua. Don't do it in the sense of what we're asking is wealth when we say hasanat fi dunya. Rather, what we're asking for is whatever thing will allow me to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within this world. Whether it be wealth, whether it be poverty. Yes, on the basic of it, on the surface level, I ask for wealth because that's what I know of. But in the back of my mind, I condition it. I say, well, if this wealth will be something that takes me on the wrong path, I don't want it. If health is something that takes me on the wrong path, I don't want it. Whatever it is in this world, if it'll take me on the wrong path in life, I don't want it. So if you go to the ayat that mention this dua, it's in Surah Baqarah. It starts from, there's an interesting actually juxtaposition of two groups of people. It starts in verse 200. From the middle of the verse, it says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. It says, فَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا وَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ. It says that amongst the people there are those who say, Rabbana. So they acknowledge their Lord. These people are not kuffar. These are mu'mineen, because they're calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? They say, Rabbana, oh my Lord, give us from amongst this dunya. And that's all they say. That's all they say. They don't say anything else. They say, give me in this world. It says these people don't have anything in the akhirah. They won't see anything. They won't see anything in terms of their efforts, what they're striving for. They'll have nothing. On the other side, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. There's another group that say this dua that we were talking about. That, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh our Lord, give us in this world good things and give us in the next world good things and keep us away from the punishment of the hellfire. And the next verse describes it. It says, أُولَٰئِكَ, these people, the second group, لَهُمْ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا كَسَبُوا. These people have a share of what they've earned, what they've striven for. وَاللَّهُ سَرِيعُ الْحِسَابِ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is quick in His accounting. If we look at it in terms of opposites of what is being said, if these people have a share in what they've attempted to gain, then the other people, the people who ask just in the context of this world, who just ask for things of this world, well, they don't have anything then. They're not going to see a return on their investment. Whatever they've attempted to gain, whatever they've attempted within this world, they won't see anything that's true. They won't see a real benefit from it. It'll be just like the child, right? The child that played with this phone thinking it's a chew toy, thinking it's just something to just throw around. It's such a waste that they've lost completely. Right? That would be our life in entirety if we look at it from that perspective. That if the only thing we're asking for, even if we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for it, because again, it's not the kuffar saying it, it's the Rabbana. They're doing a dua, they're calling out to their Lord, give me in this world. But because they see everything in terms of this world, that ultimate success is determined in this world, because that's their worldview, that's how they're seeing the world, that's how they're seeing reality, then they get nothing. Meaning that even if they have wealth, it's nothing. Even if they have material success, even if they have a position, even if they have status, it's nothing. Because in the context of the larger picture, they've wasted everything and all opportunities in this life, which was to attain something in the hereafter, which is to attain something for the soul, not for the body. The body will go away. After, the maximum, if we say we live for a century, right? It'll go away. It won't remain. This is the perspective that we have to adopt within ourselves. That we don't take this world and its glitter and glory as anything of any inherent wealth, of any inherent value. The value of this world is something as a tool. It's a means. It has no value inherently. All that it is a means. When we look at our imams, when we look at the great personalities within Islam, we see they've beautifully encapsulated this kind of ideology, this kind of worldview, where whatever they do is on this path. Where we have imams that are in relative poverty, we have imams that are in relative wealth. But whatever state they're in, it didn't change their mission. We have imams that were living in relative security, and we have imams that were, most of them, that were living in their persecution. If you look at the prophets, we had some prophets that were in great amounts of success, such as Hazrat Sulaiman. Right? In worldly terms, what they accomplished in this world was, a kingdom, a place where they had wealth, where they had power, where they were in charge, where there was nothing that could sort of overcome them, even in worldly sense. But their mission in all of these states was the same. Comparing Hazrat Sulaiman to Hazrat Ayyub, even though one was living in this wealth and health and the other was afflicted with the loss of wealth and the loss of health and the loss of everything, loss of children, everything. But the mission was the same. Their conditions of their life did not determine their path. The conditions of their wealth, their health, their children, their family, all of these things did not determine whether they were thankful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. One of the beautiful du'as that we have is recommended for during Rajab, to say in daily, one of the daily du'as of the month of Rajab. It starts by saying that, Allahumma inni as'aluka sabra shakirin lak. Oh Allah, I ask you for the patience of the ones who are thankful to you. It doesn't say sabra sabirin. It doesn't say the patience of the patient ones. It says the patience of the thankful ones. The thankful ones are the peak and pinnacle. The ones who at all states at times look to themselves and say, I'm thankful for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to me. Even if it's something difficult, even if it's a trial, even if it's a hardship, I'm still thankful. Not to say that I'm going to not attempt to change. Of course I'll attempt to change my state. If I'm going through a difficulty, I'll attempt to make it into something ease and comfort. But that means that at the time of difficulty, there's something that was wanted from me. There's something, attention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is paying to me. And that difficulty is another opportunity for me. Whatever it is, there's an opportunity for me. That is the context of the statement of Hazrat Zainab in the court of Yazid, when she says, Ma ra'aytu illa jamila, I saw nothing but beauty. The context is in this, that despite all the difficulty, despite all of the hardship, despite all of the things, the beauty of what was displayed by Imam Hussain al-Sam and the Shuhada of Karbala is the people who did everything and gave everything on the path of Allah. The ones who took that opportunity with both hands and didn't look back. The beauty of what was attained on that battlefield was beyond anything else. That doesn't mean that you just are comfort in that you see that the difficulty is not difficult. No, there is difficulty. There's a recognition of that difficulty, of that hardship. But at the same time, there's a recognition of that opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us within the context of that difficulty. A recognition that this world is not where I'm going to see everything. Rather, everything is going to be in the hereafter. And if we don't accept that as a paradigm, as a way of making our decisions and going forward in our life, we'll find fault lines within our actions. Where we choose to sin and go against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where our desires overcome the will of Allah, comes from the central idea that I want to see something now rather than later. I want to see a relief and my pleasures satisfied, my desires satisfied within this world. I cannot wait for the next. And so the more we pay attention to this world and look at it as where I will see the ultimate return for everything that I want, the more we'll see our actions go away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. And again, this can be applied on all levels. Whether the level of the individual in the terms of my individual actions, of my salat, my sawm, everything that I have to do in terms of my wajibat and avoid in terms of my muharramat. But it can also be seen in terms of families and cultures and contexts. There's nothing wrong with having culture. A culture that's of an ethnicity, of an ethnic culture, of coming from a particular background with its language and its food and all these things. These are good things. It's good to have these differences. It's good to have these beautiful things that come from each particular culture. But what is not good is for that culture to dominate over Islam. For my cultural values to be more important to me than my Islamic values. So when there is a conflict between the two, and there is conflict, let's not fool ourselves. There is conflict between our cultural values and Islamic values. And if we're not cognizant of it, we should become aware of it. When there is that conflict, which one do we turn to? Do we say that just because my forefathers lived this way that I'll do this as well? Because that's the same thing that the mushrikeen used to say. That because my forefathers lived this way, I'll do it too. We can't hide behind that excuse. Just because our forefathers happened to be Muslim doesn't mean that what they passed down to us was automatically part of Islam. Let's be cognizant of it. Look within our cultures and see what is it that is in accordance with Islam, what is it that Islam accepts, and what is it that it does not. Whatever it is we see within our cultures that is contrary to Islam, we throw it away. We should be actively doing this. Actively doing this. Not passively. Not, inshallah, not being on the other side and fighting for the side of their cultural values. It is something that has started to become, from some time and has continued to become, a plague within our a'mal that we do. When we look at the various occasions that we have, various things that we do, our cultural significance that we do to various actions become more important to us than what we're doing itself in terms of Islam. Basic example, and then inshallah I'll finish. Azadari are expressions of grief for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. There is no doubt that it is something necessary to do and maintain. There's no doubt. There's zero doubt whatsoever. There's also zero doubt, or there should be zero doubt, that the form in which we do it has not been prescribed by Islam. It's not as if the Imams have taught us to do matam. They didn't. It's not as if they told us to do nohas and these things. They didn't. Does that mean that they're wrong? No. They're good. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful expression of grief. But it's a cultural practice. And so where it comes in contradiction to Islam, I should throw it away. Whether it's the tunes that things are said in, if it blurs the line between that and haram music, then it should be thrown away. We shouldn't be hesitant and shy about that. Whether it's the methodology in it, if it gives something a bad name to Islam, then we should throw it away. Whether it's the way we conduct it in terms of, it happens that people do Azadari on the night of Ashura, all night, and then they don't pray Fajr. It's mind-boggling. That should be thrown away. Wherever it contradicts something of Islam, we throw it away. We don't hold on to it tightly as if it's something that we have as inherent value. No, its value is in showing grief for Imam Hussein. And that's something beautiful and should be maintained. Should be maintained. I'm all for every culture should maintain their own particular way of doing matam. It's good. It's a beautiful thing that all various cultures have different ways of doing matam, do various ways of expressing their grief. It's a beautiful thing. But the guideline should be maintained. As soon as it contradicts an Islamic value, it should be thrown away. That's something that we have to look to. If we don't do that, then what's the differentiating factor between us and those who live a worldly life? Because showing grief for Imam Hussein was not for now. It's not for me to pat myself on the back and say I've accomplished something. It's to become more like Imam Hussein. And Imam Hussein's life was that he spent everything on the path of Allah. Spent everything to do islafi ummat jaddi, to correct the ummah of his grandfather. That's what we should be doing. So the grief is to become in contact with those ideals, to soften our heart, to become aware of those ideals and put them within our lives. We need to have that kind of awareness where we do that. Inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the tawfiq to become as the Imams have looked towards their followers to become. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allows this Quran to become a nur in our life. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He allows this Quran to be a companion for us in this world and a shafi', an intercessor for us in the hereafter. ببركة الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد.